One.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode, is this 32 of the Resurrected or Winners You podcast. As ever, my name is David, and I am sitting some ruin, I don't know, 720.
You're sitting a rift apart from me.
Oh, okay, we had an easy one, and I've ruined it. Luckily, Alex is safe today. We are a rift apart from Mr. Alex Aldridge. Have we got the question, though, before I ask you how you're doing? Have we got the good SSD? So we need loading screens as we're going through the rift to meet one another?
I haven't got any good SSDs.
Well,
my SSD is tired and old.
Like us, Alex, like us.
Yep.
So I trust you're, apart from being tired and old, you're doing well.
I am. I think as we were sorting out our technical issues, I did think to myself, I could just have a little sleep now. I think so. There's the standard of this podcast, everybody.
Bringing the energy.
Alex is incredibly tired because my daughter can be a little madam at times.
Yep. Sounds like daughters, doesn't it? And sons and babies and us, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, in case Alex's rescue job did not, and if you're watching the YouTube version of this podcast, the title above my head does not give it away, we're here to talk about all things Ratchet and Clank today, Alex. Well, specifically
just one of them.
Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
I say just one of them. Do you know how many Ratchet and Clank games there have actually been?
I want to guess 7, but I've got absolutely no idea. How many?
You are way off. It is 16.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
Yeah.
How many of them have you played, do you think? I've played 2.
3.
Okay, so you're not much better than me. I thought you were some sort of Clank aficionado.
Well, I own several more. Here's the question, though. We did a podcast on Ratchet and Clank 2 because we gave it our Game of the Year. So you've obviously played that as well. So you have played 3.
I've played this one and the PS4 one, and I've played another one, have I?
Yeah, we did it for a podcast on the old Gamertron when we did our Game of the Year. This one Game of the Year, and then we did a whole podcast on it afterwards.
Well, I must have deleted that from my brain.
Yeah.
Because I've got no memory of it. I've got
All I remember there was a lot.
Crack in Time, is that it? That's the one I remember playing, because that's the PS4 one.
Yeah.
And then obviously Rift Apart. What's the one that we gave a Game of the Year that I've totally forgotten about?
Ratchet and Clank 2.
Oh. Well, I must
Crack
have
in
played
Time. No, we haven't played that. That's a PS3 game. Shall I tell you that? Shall I give you a rundown?
Yeah, I thought I played a Crack in Time.
So, the original game was just called Ratchet and Clank, which was remade in the style of the film for the PS4.
That's the one I've played. Then,
yeah. Now, apparently, that game was disliked by aficionados for losing its more mature, edgier tone and becoming more of a children's game, which I assume is where we've ended up where we are here.
These people, the same ones that are... I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't necessarily kick it out of bed, but the same people that are wanting a Conquer Live and Reloaded remaster, remake, HDification. Okay.
I don't think Ratchet and Clank would have ever come close to their first game of Conquer.
Did Conquer not start off as like
a raucous old time,
Ratchet, and then just go a bit mental?
Well, it started off as like some absolute vanilla bullshit.
Yeah.
It was like Diabetes, the video game, and then they just put giant shits in it. And
that game surely aged badly. 1, because I bet the humor's not as good, but 2, that game loved a sort of pop culture reference. So like,
not quite like Gex, but yeah, it was kind of
Like, I feel like there was like Van Helsing levels.
There was
to Matrix and stuff like that.
Yeah, there was a Saving Private Ryan bit as well.
Yeah.
That game was also remade for the Xbox as Live and Reloaded.
That's when I played it. I played it in the Xbox remake.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have briefly played some of the original one on the Rare Replay.
Oh, is it the original, or are they both on Rare Replay, or is it just the OG one?
Just the OG
I need to go back and play that then, actually. Give myself a 15-minute...
I feel, I want to finish it because it's a rare game from the N64 era.
Yeah.
That by all accounts is not meant to have been bad. Like, it doesn't get shit on like Donkey Kong 64.
I remember
which I enjoyed at the time.
I liked it. But I was probably 17, 18 when I played it, so tastes may have changed. Yeah. Sorry,
anyway.
I derailed you. What Ratchet did we get? We got
derailed us into better games. So yeah, then there was Going Commando, which was 2003 on the PS2, which it was called Locked and Loaded in Europe because I guess that was censorship. Like,
they
don't want Europeans and British people to go commando, so they called it Locked and Loaded instead.
Is this is that PS2 sort of birthed in the PS2 era?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, okay.
So we played that one. That we gave that Game of the Year 2003 when we did a podcast where every year we rank them.
That is gone from my brain.
I cannot understand why. I remember I enjoyed it, but is there nothing better than a Ratchet and Clank game in 2003 that came out? Apparently not.
Were we ranking years or something?
Yeah, we did like top 10 games of like every year. We were doing it for like 20 years, weren't we? We went 20 years back. We started in 2015. We went back to 95 and we did it. We were going to do 20 years from there, and I think we got about halfway.
Well, I think I've just experienced. I remember, so listening to podcasts, you always hear people say, "Oh, I don't remember everything I say on podcasts." I've just had my first experience of that. I have absolutely no memory of Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, and of course that game was probably at least 12 hours. So you've lost almost a whole day of memory there.
Well.
But I don't remember a lot about it other than, like I say, there was some snow in it. There was then Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal, which was again censored over here and changed to...
Stick Up Your Arsenal.
Just Ratchet and Clank 3. And then Ratchet Deadlocked, or as it was known over here, Ratchet Gladiator, which I'd never really paid any attention to or heard of until just now. That was the fourth game in the original, series. Then it has this thing called the Future Saga, which starts on the PS3. So you had Tools of Destruction, Quest for Booty, Crack in Time, and Into the Nexus.
I recognise all these names, so yeah, I was definitely aware of them. But it sounds like that's the kind of period that I was basically buying everything that came out. So I can't believe I'd not played them.
Yeah, I can't believe that we just ignored Ratchet games for the whole of that generation.
Especially because, I liked the PS4 one quite a lot. Well, I liked it enough to platinum it. It was a good sort of, just a solid platformer.
We obviously liked the second one on the PS2, whether we remember it or not. We did like it.
Yeah.
Because we podcasted about it. So I haven't played any of the PS3 ones. I do own 2 of them. I couldn't tell you without walking over and looking. But as I said, I'm tired, so that's not going to happen. So that's 8 games. Then there's the 2 that we just mentioned many times, which was PS4 one and this one, Rift Apart. There is Size Matters, which is a PSP game from 2008.
Well, okay, I kind of getting a feel for the edginess that they're talking about then, because at least with their naming conventions,
they're talking about dicks, weren't they?
Innuendos, yeah.
They ain't getting close to that now.
No, not since the movie, have they? They've gone very...
Exactly.
I was going to say Pixar, but that's giving them too much credit.
If it was Pixar, it'd be funny.
Yeah, like B-movie, B-level DreamWorks, maybe?
Yeah. We're talking...
Because it's not Shrek.
Madagascar?
Yeah, okay.
I feel like that. I don't think there are many DreamWorks ones that I have even really watched. I've only watched B-movie because it's got Jerry Seinfeld in it.
Shrek is the one that's sticking out in my head. That's DreamWorks.
Yeah. DreamWorks is Spielberg, right?
I think so, yeah. It's his little company. Logo, yeah.
Yeah. So then there was... Yeah, so Size Matters was apparently erroneously named Ratchet and Clank 5 in Japan. But yeah, that was PSP. Sorry, it came out in 2007 on the PSP, and then they ported it to the PS2. There's another one called Secret Agent Clank, which is another PSP game.
Okay.
And that you just play as Clank, but there's lots of stealth in it as well as normal shit. There's a game called All for One, which is on I believe it's on the PS3. That one has 4-player.
I was away to say that's got 4-player co-op or multiplayer.
Yeah, co-op. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Drop out offline online gameplay. Apparently,
this must have been during the period where everything had to have multiplayer / co-op. Yeah. Remember they even did that in bloody God of War, for God's sakes.
Oh, what, for that one that wasn't really a main series one?
Yeah.
What was that called?
Best forgotten, I think.
Who cares? Then there was Full Frontal Assault, which apparently is another PS3 game. It's another spin-off, and it's like a tower defense game.
All right.
So that's fucking... I don't even know how many games now. 14.
Is it got tower defense aspects in it, or is it like?
Yeah,
because remember when they put tower defense in Assassin's Creed and stuff? It was after what was that game with Jack Black in it that seemed to spawn that? He was like running around hell with a guitar. You know what game I'm talking about?
The rock, the heavy metal game.
Yeah,
Brutal Legend.
Yeah, that sort of made everybody started sort of trying to mess with genres after that game.
They should never have done that.
No.
Tower defense absolutely ruined that game. And then there's a couple of mobile games. So there's Ratchet and Clank going mobile.
Are they still
and then
going?
there's an endless runner called Before the Nexus, which was like brought out to help promote Into the Nexus, which was the one of the PS3 ones, potentially the last one. Yeah, the last PS3 one of that one. So this is the 16th game in the series, and it is the first like proper new entry in the series since 2009. And apparently they had discussions in this development process of how they would get the game to be like referential enough for long-term fans of the series, but also to keep in the loop people who weren't alive the last time a main series Ratchet and Clank game came out, because you're talking 13-year-olds potentially were not around when this game came out.
Wow.
That's how long it's been since the last game in the series. So, 12, because it was last year this game came out. And I can't speak for the tone of the other games, but I think we have discussed already between us offline how disinterested we were in the story, and me especially found it really overly like sentimental, fluffy nonsense without any humor that actually landed. It was all there wasn't really any humor at all. It was just silly voices.
Yeah, I didn't find it entertaining. I actually find a lot of the characters quite irritating in a way that I don't remember feeling before. So like for me though, I want my gut reaction was I wanted to describe the game sort of story and characters as bland, but they weren't quite bland because I think on a lot of occasions they actively irritated me. So it's just like I can feel my teeth rotting from watching it because it's just like so you're sentimental and like sweet and positive and like but like needlessly so, like to the point that there was barely a character arc. Like I guess well, it's not spoilers because that's what this whole podcast is, but like
we'll do the story talk now. We'll get that out of the way.
When Rivet's the female Ratchet, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah.
When she finds out that the other robot, Katie or whatever she's called, Kit, blew off her arm, like there was so little development there that she cared for about 2 minutes and then she just got over it. And
she said, I don't know if I can forgive her, but I have to save her. No, you don't.
Yeah, she's like, I'm going to save her anyway. It's like, why? Why? She blew your arm off. Like, give me a reason why you would forgive her. It's just, we just do it.
Look, I will admit to anybody listening now, and they're probably going to turn off in their droves if they're actually huge fans of this series or this game, but I really struggled to follow a lot of what was going on because I just wanted it to end and get back to shooting stuff again. I don't recall a part in this game where Kit explains why she's not evil anymore. Does she do that?
No, not that I'm aware of. I'm not even I don't even understand why she keeps saying I'm dangerous, because I thought when she turned into that massive robot that she sort of got the red mist and she was just like
hulked
hurting
up
everything. Yeah, but when she hulks up right at the end, she can actually hold a conversation. She's not worried.
Yeah, they have a proper little chat at the end and they cuddle together.
So like, I don't
when did
get
that
it.
stop happening?
Yeah, and they keep saying, "Oh, Kit, you used to be bad." They never really built upon that either. Like, showed us her being like part of the Emperor's bad guy team or anything like that.
Yeah, she was like the Emperor's Warbot or whatever, wasn't she?
Yeah, she just went and ran off in some hippie retreat for a while.
John Boyega'd it in Star Wars.
Yeah, and, they're just so... there's just no... And even like when Kit and Ratchet have an argument towards the end of the game, they start having an argument and then they both say, oh, sorry, and then make up, and that's it.
Oh, you mean the Rivet and Ratchet?
Yeah.
When they sort of fall out over
Rivet.
Because she tells Kit to fuck off, doesn't she? She basically says, "No, fuck, screw you."
Rivet's
no, she says
I'm going back to the hippie retreat, and she's like, "All right, see ya."
Yeah,
and then Ratchet's raging because she didn't stop.
Well, he just has like a little like. So he just sort of stares out the window of the ship when she's driving him, doesn't he? He's just like, "Fucking hell, you didn't say that." And then it's all right. We're all fine. And of course, Kit makes the save at the end in the final battle with Emperor Nefarious.
Yeah, I guess because I was playing, and when you said it, I was like, of course, like you were like, oh, it's a kid's game, and I'm like, yeah, well, just it's maybe not for me, but if I then link that back to what we were talking about at the start of this podcast about the sort of edgy names and stuff,
yeah,
it used to be for me, and at some point, well, I was going to say at some point when the movie came out, it's done a hard switch into trying to be some sort of like Disney-esque level thing.
Yeah, it's come back and it aimed itself at sort of really young children.
I don't know why game companies keep doing that. Why, like, we could probably sit here and like endlessly list games, like, well, Dead Space and Resident Evil are ones that at some point just decide they're going to be something that they're not.
Yeah,
I just don't understand why games keep doing this. But yeah, maybe for me, I was just so unengaged by the story in the end. It was just it was just vomit-inducingly sweet.
Yeah, the amount of times it was all just, you know, everyone trying to G each other up and tell them that they mean something and that they're worthwhile and how great everybody is and they're all friendly and yeah.
One of the things, like, if we just, like, for argument's sake, let's just say, okay, fine, these games aren't for us anymore. They're kids' games. Like, I think we both just agreed, like, what they're shooting for is, like, the Pixar, Disney-esque sort of level tier movie. Like, one, I don't think you have to make a shit product to make your product engaging to children. Because Disney, again, like, make really, really good quality movies and TV shows. They
give kids more credit, don't they?
Like,
I mean, if you look at
it's not just a dumb experience to be for kids. You can have intelligent, interesting,
Inside
engaging
Out,
experience.
for one, is incredibly in depth about mental health, and then you've got that Soul that came out last year about a guy who's basically dead.
Sakes.
Talking about death and loss in the first 5 minutes.
I was slightly tipsy when I was showing, but I stuck The Lion King on like a few nights ago, and see the opening sequence to that movie. That is shot like immaculately, and like this game just falls short on every level. If that's what you're shooting for, you're missing so hard. So like, yeah, if
they seem to have like decided to supplement giving this notion of like giving something for adults to engage with, like that, you know, it's like elements of adult humor or pop culture references or stuff that adults are going to pick up on while they're sitting there with their kids. They seem to have supplemented anything in the narrative for that with, but you're shooting stuff, right? So you're shooting stuff. That's for you. You have the guns, and then the kids can laugh at the little weird dudes who sound like they're all from Fargo, like from Minnesota, or from Making a Murderer.
Oh, for goodness sakes, yeah. They're annoying me. That's an Americanism. I'm sorry. I'm a way to drive away Americans, but it's my turn.
Then there's no one here.
May as well. Like, it's like, oh, let's make fun of a culture. Well, let's laugh at Canada. Like, that's fun. That was funny 20 years ago when I first heard it, but it's still happening. Like, just like find something else that's funny. Like, oh, haha, Canadians say A at the end. Well, okay. Find something else. Like, that's a joke that I heard. I've been here my entire life. Let's move on, please, to something else. Make fun of Canadians for doing something else.
Yeah.
Goodness sakes.
So, I mean, yeah, we could go over the story, but I think to stop us from just like absolutely hammering this game into the ground.
Yeah, okay. In fairness, like, we're here to talk about the game. So the story is about in a nutshell, I would say, and tell me, you pick me up where I'm wrong. Ratchet and Clank, or Clank, creates some sort of dimensionator, it's called, isn't it? It's like a gun that will allow Ratchet to travel through dimensions to meet other Lombaxes, which is the same species as him.
Because he assumes that he is the only one.
Yeah, the gun gets stolen and damaged in some way, and he ends up ruining the universe for a while. And then he ends up stumbling across and meeting like other dimensional counterpart for himself. So he meets Rivet, which is like the female Lombax version of him. And actually, from what I gathered, they didn't actually overtly say it, but this is like, is this meant to be the loser dimension? So like, who's the big hero, the hero with the big chin? He's a bit less courageous than he is.
Is it?
Is that it? He's less courageous than he is in Ratchet's dimension. Emperor Nefarious always wins, whereas Doctor Nefarious always loses. And then like there's a couple of times where Emperor Nefarious says, "Oh, you've won for a change," or something like that. Like Rivet's some sort of perpetual almost has-been loser. Which
she's like an underground. She's in its underground resistance rather than this like global hero icon that Ratchet and Clank are.
I quite like that.
Just an outlier.
I did quite like that. They just never really...
I'd rather she had more of an edge about her, though. She just seemed to be friendly with everybody. She's like the nice person in the resistance. There's no grit to her at all.
Yeah, I would have liked her if she's like... It would have been interesting if they made her sort of the anti-Ratchet. So like where Ratchet was
have
nice,
a disliking towards Ratchet at first. Just like be wary of Ratchet. Don't just immediately be like, "Oh, it'd be nice if I get to talk to him." And she's nicked his robot, so in the process of doing that, he sees her do that, doesn't he? He sees the wanted poster for her. He sees her running off with Clank on her back. Clank's only got one arm, but then by the time they actually meet up, she's bonded with Clank, and Clank's like, "Nah, mate, she's good people. Don't worry about it. We're friends with her, by the way."
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Let's just have them fuck or something, If you're gonna go all sweet and nice and they're gonna instantly have this connection, just have them bang each other at the end of the film.
So is the next Ratchet and Clank game? Is there going to be two Lombaxes now, or have they gone back to their own dimensions and now living separate lives again?
They're all in the same one at the end though. Yeah. When everything stops, so it's almost like Ratchet's kind of stuck in the loser dimension. Unless the Dimensionator just works now and there are no rifts created anymore, so it's just like you can just Rick and Morty your way back to wherever you want to go, mate. Don't worry about it.
Could you imagine if someone in the like sort of obviously I'm being dramatic, but in the real world caused like almighty destruction like that? That is like akin to someone accidentally setting off a nuclear bomb. Like there would be repercussions
coming
to
back
this.
Expecting a hero's welcome. Like, what about that?
There would be repercussions to this. And like Clank would just get to come back and be who he is. Like, mate, you have like how many people have died because of this stupidity that you invented?
Just for your mate.
And
for the benefit of humanity.
Such a public reveal as well. Like he could have just taken him off to the side and privately going, "Mate, I've got this. We can use this." Instead, he fucking unveils it in front of the whole world while they're on like a big parade float.
Maybe that's why there aren't. They weren't doing the horizontal Lombax mash at the end of this game because there's actually a robotic romance going on between Clank and Ratchet that they put out straight at the beginning.
Maybe.
With this, "I've got a gift for you at the end of the parade."
I genuinely thought they were going to do something interesting as well, right? Because like the allusions to stuff like that, and then at the beginning, Ratchet seems to be having a wee bit of an internal crisis, both with the prospect of meeting the Lombaxes, and then before that, he's like, "Am I a has-been? Like, there's been years since we've actually done anything." And I think that's an allusion to the fact that it's been a long time since they released a Ratchet and Clank game.
Yeah,
and it's been like, he's like, does anyone even know who we are anymore? And I thought that was quite an interesting thing. And then they just sort of abandoned anything that they did narratively intriguing at all and just went back to the most bland nothing that they could have.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia plot summary here, and it says, for the end, "With both dimensions and all of reality saved and the Dimensionator in their possession, Ratchet, Clank, Rivet, and Kit take the opportunity to hang out together, repair the damage Emperor Nefarious caused, build a new arm for Clank, and go on additional adventures." And they all went home for tea. That's it.
Fucked.
Yeah, dreadful. really real shame considering the quality of the animation, the beauty, just the visuals all round are. Stunning.
I said this to you before. I never actually got around to watching the movie because I just had lost interest by that point.
Good, but you'd have hated it.
This game looks better than the movie, which I just
that's amazing. Yeah. There's so much variety in the type of area that you go to as well. You've got like pirate planets, big swamps, deserts, neon cities, and yet I just without a story to tie me along and move me forward, it was just the areas that I were in felt even less relevant than they should have been.
Is this the time? I don't know whether I'm maybe jumping the gun, but is this the time to say that I also found the guns quite disappointing? There were some fun ones, but like compared to the one I played on PS4, they had so little variation, and there was even tiny they were struggling for variation within the weapons of this confined game. Like they had multiple weapons that basically did the same thing.
They did.
So like it wasn't even like the story wasn't propelling me along, and to a certain extent, the guns weren't even exciting me.
Yeah, I was gonna do we do a top 5 weapons of our top 5 weapons each and discuss them that way. So we can do that. I also want to talk about and then just the other various gameplay parts that we had. So we've got the pocket dimensions, the anomaly puzzle parts, the arena, and the fucking virus shit.
Yes.
But we'll get to that later. So we'll start with weapons now. So I can give you, if you would like, a URL wherever you would like it. Would you like it in Discord or WhatsApp?
Phone,
where do you want it?
WhatsApp.
Huh?
WhatsApp.
And this has a list of every weapon, so you can just remind yourself of what they were. There you go.
So there's what's like. I just want to clarify what the rules are here. So I think actually no, they're probably the same. I was going to say there's guns that I found like hyper effective, and then there was guns I enjoyed using. You seem to be feeling
compelled to level up a lot of guns as well. You kept sounding as if you were playing the newer ones just to level them up.
Yeah, and that's another problem I've got. Yeah, that's exactly, and it's this is my fault and not the game. And that when it comes to these games, because I'd platinumed the last one, and I did have that in the back of my mind. Like I was like, well, I need to be leveling up all my guns. Like once a gun gets to level 5, which is the top level, like I'm just like, well, unless I'm in a bind, it's gone. It's done to me. Yeah,
so weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the ultimate version of that gun. That's what you've worked all that time for. And the Enforcer would be in my top 5 because it's like a shotgun that fires multiple streams of electricity, and you can eventually get like 5 shots if you hold down the trigger. Lots of cool trigger stuff. Lots of cool half-held trigger, full-held trigger stuff. But as you said, I would put that thing away as soon as it was level 5 because I just felt like, well, there's nothing left to achieve with it, even though killing the enemies is the point.
So before, I don't mean to be so negative because we're here to talk about the game, but just out of interest, because I think this is a fun one. What was your least favorite weapon?
Well, other than the burst pistol,
mine. I know exactly what mine was. It was I don't know what it was called, but it's the one that turns people into ice blocks.
Yeah, I didn't even use that. I never got. There's several guns here I never got. I don't know if they come into it in New Game Plus or Challenge Mode. Oh, there you go. Can only be unlocked in Challenge Mode. So there's a gun called the Bouncer. Launch a grenade that releases micro grenades on impact with an enemy or environment. And there's the Pixelizer, which turns your enemies into
Oh, that sounds
pixels.
like a fun one. That sounds fantastic.
Sounds like one that was in the last game.
Yeah.
But that's only in Challenge Mode. And then there's the Rhino 8, which fires a ball of energy that opens a portal above the battlefield, allowing mysterious objects to fall through. When an object strikes the ground, it creates a massive explosion.
Oh my!
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm
you
so
have
disappointed
to get all the spy
by
bots to get that.
I'm so disappointed that they make me do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's irritating.
So yeah, I think I'm with you. Cold Snap. I think other than that, maybe the Ricochet was probably one of my least favorites.
I really hated the Ricochet. Yeah, I just found it so just wasn't fun to use, I guess.
I think that gun was the part of the game where I told myself, you don't need to play with all these guns. You've got a second screen of like the gun wheel now to select from, which is very awkward to do. So let's just stop leveling up every single gun, because some of these are shit, like the Ricochet, which requires you to pay attention to a visual cue and press a button at a specific timing in the middle of a crazy fight full of enemies, which I don't know how anyone's going to get the best out of that.
Yeah.
This would be quite difficult to pick 5 of these.
I mean, like, I don't know. So I think
definitely the sprinkler.
Yeah,
definitely the sprinkler.
We get to 5. So like, I've already told you this, but my go-to, if you're in a fight where there was just a lot happening, you would slap down the sprinkler, slap down the glove of doom, and then slap down the fungi. Is that what it's called? And then, like, essentially, they would just these were enemies. So like for people that don't quite know, the sprinkler, what that did is it turned them into sort of a garden that just froze them in place for a little while.
So overpowered that.
Yeah.
It does it on any boss. Even the last boss of the game, you can turn into a giant garden.
The Ms. Fungi were like, you sprouted out mushrooms that would do a sort of small rotation and they would attack anything they saw, and then you would get
that would distract the people who it was attacking as well.
Yeah,
apparently, the more you leveled it up, the more
they would aggro instead of attacking you. That would make sense.
Yeah.
And then the third thing I would do is slap down my glove of doom, which would just sprout these little robots that would just like go for enemies and like swarm them and kill them. So like basically what you had there was you'd just freeze the freeze the battlefield, and then you'd sprout, like, sort of start pinging off all these enemies that would just go and do all the work for you. And then I would pick something like the like buzz blades or the electric.
They were a letdown as well. The lightning rod.
The lightning rod, and then you just go around and mop up, and you could clean shop doing that. It was so fun. I killed the boss at the end where I know it's a big long section, but the heart section where you go in.
Yeah.
I did that, and I absolutely wrecked it. I was honestly in there for about 15 seconds. And this place just got absolutely ruined, and that is like one thing is like I felt like I'd sort of figured out the cheat code for the game, but also you felt like a boss and you went in there and you just wrecked shop with that combination, because that combination was unreal when you got everything leveled up.
I will actually give the game compliments around that, in that there would never seem to be any performance problems when that was going on. And you're talking about a lot of stuff at this point. Because I eventually, after I saw you, when we started to watch each other playing it on our split screens on PS5, when I saw the Glove of Doom and what it was doing for you, I then added that to my sort of standard go-to kit. And also the Bombardier as well, which was
the Bombardier was fun.
Flew above and just kind of explode on their head. So you've got the mushrooms, you've got the little dudes running about, and the Bombardier, and they're turned into a garden from a sprinkler. And there's about 20 enemies on screen most of the time.
Yeah, you're right.
The game really never seemed to struggle to be able to handle all of that nonsense.
Yeah.
It's a very impressive technical achievement. It's just not a very good game.
Well, this is the thing that I'd be interested to like sort of nitpick this apart a little bit more, in that, like, when I think back to... And the reason I've come to this conclusion is because when I think back to other like technical masterpieces that we have been covering since we started playing games, like the one that sticks out in my head is like Killzone 2. When that game came out, it was meant to be like an absolute visual masterpiece. And then even the Battlefield, like, and then it was a Battlefield Bad Company started doing the destructible environments and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
it was less about visuals and more about actually interacting with stuff. And to me, like, what has generally stood the test of time are games that have opted for gameplay over visuals. And to me, like, I feel I'm trying to figure out how to get this out in words properly, but like, to me, the games that rely heavily on visuals and sort of just how a game looks, well, that is visuals, I'm repeating myself here, they tend to age more poorly than games that will just try and find a fun mechanic and not actually, like, maybe you have a nice looking game, but they'll not prioritize that thing in the same way. what I kind of felt was that this game was just shooting for looking nice. And like performing well, actually, in 2022, to be fair, is a thing, because there's games like Skyrim that came out like how long ago and still don't work properly. Like, that is a thing. But like, my feeling coming out of this game was that this game just went for visuals and just leaned on that. And
it's felt a bit tech demo, didn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like, so like, to sort of round that out, because I'm now figuring out where I'm going with this, is that I think it's on the game to impress me, whereas I think this game you have to make an effort to understand what it's doing technically to be impressed by it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we had this discussion about the rift tearing sort of, I can't remember what it's called now, the thing that you get where you can
it's just a rift,
hook yourself
wasn't it? Yeah.
What's it? There is a name for it. Hang on.
Are they not just rifts? And you can sort of L1 yourself.
Yeah, but it's got a name for it. Rift tether.
Right, okay.
So yeah, that you can use your rift tether to pull the environment towards you, and you've got the little pocket dimensions, which is effectively like an entire separate level. I mean, it's a glorified door, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. Well, that's
just
the thing.
You go through a door, but
it's like, yeah, it's just a door. Like,
I expected Titanfall 2 levels of some kind of dimensional manipulation.
Well, they do kind of touch
do that
a
few times.
The crystal things is probably an idea. But again, like, I appreciate what that does from a technical standpoint, because we're looking for it, and that's where we're like sort of immersed in the games industry and we understand what it's doing. That in itself is terms of just like gameplay and like, does it make a fun game? Yeah, it does make a fun game, but is it really like bringing this game on to the next level? I'm not sure it is.
It was fun without being truly engaging or really groundbreaking either, because a lot of the time they used these mechanics, especially like you say with the crystals, you never had any agency over how you were going to use that for your advantage. It was just when the game had put it there, and it was the only way to progress forward. Or even sometimes it was on rails. It's literally on while you're on the rails, you hit them, it will then change the world, and then you won't crash into a wall anymore. There was no I don't even know if you've actually played it, but in Titanfall 2, there's elements where there'd be guards in front of you. You can then go to the past where they're not there anymore, move to the other side of the room, go back to the future, and shoot them all in the back. But you can do that off of your own ingenuity with the tool it's given you. You're not just being forced, you've got to a bit now where you can't get through that door. Just go back to, just hit that crystal that's right next to the door, and it won't be there when you've hit the crystal, and then you just hit the crystal on the other side and you're back again. It's like there was no level, or there's no scope for the player to have any of their own autonomy with it. It was just, here's where the crystals are, look how cool it looks. And the rift tethering as well. It reminded me of that stuff in BioShock Infinite. You know, you had those weird like tears, and it was like the little grey stuff, like almost like a hologram, and you could like activate it and it would be like a turret gun and something. It was less than that. And that's like almost 10 years old, that game. This has less than that. It just runs it better and looks nicer.
And that's the thing, like I did encounter bugs with this game, but the bugs I did encounter was like getting stuck on geometry and stuff like that, which I actually did quite a lot. This game is not free of bugs. I don't want to give it a complete pass. It ran phenomenally well, but yeah, there were bugs. Like I
think I went through a rift once and it didn't actually load in, and I fell through the world and died.
Did you have the one I had? That's one I didn't get, but that's a stinking one.
There was like it was nothing there.
2 occasions where the shopkeeper just wouldn't speak to me.
I told you that. Yeah, she just turned her back on me. It was just like, nope. There was no enemies there anymore. There's no shooting going on. She just wouldn't look at me. And I hadn't used up I had loads of stuff to spend, and she wouldn't buy it wouldn't take my fucking money.
This is another thing that is again me, not the game, that I kept
quite,
doing.
Quite appropriate for Sony, that is. They won't take your money because they won't have any PS5s for you to buy. She is the PS5 salesman. She has nothing left for you. I'm just going to turn away now. Don't want your money because I've got no stock.
Well, it seems like they're going to sell us old games now, which is a nice.
Yeah, PS3 stuff. Yeah, they've Nintendo'd that one nicely.
Goodness sakes, just let us play old games. There's nothing wrong with it. There's a market
for it. They have no value. They have no value.
Yeah,
you can't buy them brand new. Their value is 0.
Anyway.
Anyway, weapons. I would say has to be the sprinkler for me. I really enjoyed the shatter bombs because I love the shatter bombs
because
I really just like the fact that if you held it down a little bit, the arc would then auto aim itself, which is cheating, but who cares? It was fun. This was what was enjoyable of the game. It was just like a chill out, shoot stuff kind of fun time. Without pushing any boundaries or engaging me in any way. It's just like, this is nice.
But I actually like, and that's why I was kind of disappointed in the variety of weapons, because when they were throwing enemies at you, they weren't scared to throw a lot of enemies at you, and that was fun and hectic in some cases, and it was really, really like we'll get to it, but the arena was my favourite part of the game. I loved it, and we were just firing enemies at you and having to use all the weapons in your arsenal and use the
random
ways.
Arena thing was great.
Sorry, I know I've derailed that, but that's why I was disappointed in that, because the actual like moment to moment playing the game and jumping around and avoiding enemies and using the circle thing that made you sort of phase a little bit, and then using your like jet boots to get out the way of stuff. It was awesome. And if they had the same, in my mind, I don't know if actually it's real or not, because apparently I can't remember any Ratchet and Clank game I've ever played, but the one I played previously, where it had like the disco ball that would make enemies dance and stuff like that, there was in my head a lot of variation in gun types, and this one just didn't have. And like as much as I liked them, the Glover Hand of Doom and the Ms. Fungus and stuff like that, they were just too similar.
Right, let's have a look.
And even the ones like, so while you're looking like that, even like the buzzsaw and the electric rod thing, like they were very different guns, but they did very similar things. And they got to the point where they were all auto aim as well. So you would just sort of, the buzzsaw would bounce around against multiple enemies, and and as a sort of counterbalance, the electric lightning rod thing would zap people all at the same time. And it just ended up doing very similar things, which disappointed me slightly.
Yeah. So I've had I'm trying to look through the guns from the PS4 version. Sure. So one of the ones here I just remembered is that they had this gun called the Proton Drum, which would like fire out an orb that would like zap people. It would just kind of float around and zap them. The Bouncer. That was only available if you pre-ordered the game. Fires an Omni grenade that was just like a cluster grenade, basically.
Remember when
Mr. Zircon, a hovering synthenoid that follows Ratchet and fires upon enemies. So that's kind of been copied about 3 times in this game. Groovitron is what you're talking about.
I love the Groovitron.
Yeah, that was awesome. That would make them dance on the spot. The Pixelizer, which seems to have been in this game somewhat, but you had to unlock it.
Guns in a way that I thought was.
Yeah, so that was supposed to be. They had turned into like 16-bit. It was basically a shotgun, but it would turn them into pixels. Predator launcher. What was that? The rocket launcher. So it doesn't seem like. I mean, yeah, then there was a sniper rifle as well. So, yeah, they seem to have just kind of followed the same sort of thing this time around. Although I did like the sniper rifle.
Maybe I did too. Maybe the conclusion I can draw from this is I felt like the guns in the PS4 version were fresh and new and varied because it was, in my mind, my first Ratchet game. So like these were all new to me, whereas now I'm coming back to this.
When in reality, it was the 15th and now 16th Ratchet game, and maybe they're going to run out of ideas, and they obviously have.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You probably don't have to keep making games after you've done 16 of them, I guess, is the answer to that. But yeah, I mean, I can see how they would struggle and they would just kind of stick with what they'd stuck with. But there was a lot of repetitive types of gun, as you say. The lightning rod and the buzz thing, all the little turret things, there's like 3 of them. And and then you've basically got pistols and rocket launchers and grenades. Eventually you get sort of like a minigun AR sort of thing with the
big
black hole storm.
Yeah, I like that. That was fun.
Yeah, that was okay. So yeah, in the end, I kind of probably towards the end of the game, I would still be using I'd be throwing the sprinkler. I'd chuck the shatter bombs at them. I probably upgraded from shatter bombs to the warmonger to the rocket launcher, especially after it started locking onto them. I didn't mind the little dog thing at a push when I accidentally selected it.
It started off like a drill, and then just because it Warhound or something, it became
the drill hound. Yeah, drill and it was supposed to go under the floor and then jump up. That. I mean, that's I
just
inventive.
Realized I realized it actually took me a while to realize because I wasn't paying attention. It was firing dogs at people because they would bark whenever you fired them.
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
yeah, that was a fun gun.
And I also really, really liked the Void Repulsor. I think that was one of the coolest guns in the game. The one that, at a half press of the trigger, it brings up a shield that you can then use. It would deflect bullets back at the enemies, but also that would use your ammo up. And if you did a full press of the trigger, it then would shoot like a shotgun blast effectively at them in an AoE and knock them back. That was one of my favorite weapons.
That was a great weapon. Really, really good. What was the weapon that was like a beam of light that you could just sort of wave around at people?
Oh, that was another cool one, the Negatron Collider.
Yeah.
I think early game, I felt like that was my best chance to get sort of distance kills on people before the sniper rifle was there, because it seemed to have quite a lot of range, and it was quite like a hit scan straight line straight at them rather than the
sniper rifle was
pistol.
Deadly. If you hit because it did hit extra damage. Was I imagining headshots were doing more damage? Or did you?
No, there were. I couldn't. Well, it kept going on about there, like if you hit the weak point, it does more damage. But I could never tell what it. There was no indicator for a weak point, which we should respect because we shit on like glowing weak points enough.
Absolutely,
we should respect if you've got to figure it out. But there was a later upgrade to the sniper rifle that apparently any hit would then create a weak point. So if you hit that again, then you did that damage that way, and of course, then you're also slowing down time. That was a very cool sniper rifle.
I'm now wishing that, so when you complete the game, it says you've unlocked a harder version of the game. I do wish I'd actually puddled about with that a little bit, because I wonder if that would solve some of the problems I've got with this game.
Yeah, it was too easy. Far too easy. I mean, not only was it, you were relatively untroubled because you were so overpowered because of your huge arsenal where you got... By the end of the game, you're having a third weapon wheel. You have so many guns, and but the fact that it would basically like the checkpointing system was effectively like whatever it was you were just doing when you died, you can carry on. It would drop you. You fell off the world, it would just drop you straight back where you fell off. Like there was no consequence for dying in this game whatsoever. You would lose no progress ever. Which after the nightmare that was Alien Isolation, perhaps was why we picked this game to start the year, because we just wanted an easy way in.
Just want to smash our way through. I genuinely thought I would like this game. I thought I would come away from this with a warm, fuzzy feeling in my belly, having had a lot of fun. And I didn't hate it. I just didn't
at no point was I was only ever fed up or bored during the story parts or some of the collection bits when I just thought, why am I doing this?
I mean, I've got a thing that when... If I was playing this game off my own back and I was playing it by myself, I probably would have given up the story and started listening to podcasts when I was playing it.
I was tempted.
And I bet you...
Because the music's not good either.
No. And I bet you would have a much more positive feeling about the game now. But when we're covering a game for a podcast, I feel I
know, right?
Yeah, I feel I need that. I know I've got to experience this. I've got to have an opinion on the story. I've got to know what the sound design likes, and like if there's like little quirks and things that happen that I would miss when I was like streamlining it.
I was almost skipping cutscenes at one point, and I thought, I can't. I need to see these for the podcast. But then I would just zone out because it was just so bland and vanilla. It was just nothing.
It's nothing.
There was no peril. There was no
like
turmoil. There was no like
I don't know, like,
danger. It's just nothing.
There's a bit of me that like thinks like I had such a visceral hatred towards Alien. I remember everything about it. Like
yeah.
I am so like bleh on this game that like I'm going to forget this game. I know I am.
Think how fucking stupid the Parasite Eve story was. But I'm never going to forget that dude
exactly.
diving out of their helicopter on fire.
I just feel like
to try and help us kill a mutant baby in its third form.
It's one of the
Never
things.
Never going to forget that.
And maybe this is getting a little bit existential for this podcast, but like when I think about like you and I spent a long time doing podcasts and doing writing and stuff like that, and I think like if someone doesn't like what you do, that's okay to me. Like at the end of the day, I think you should shoot for it and do you like do what you want to do and like try and create your, this is so wanky, but art. And like to me, like Ratchet is so down the middle that it's trying not to upset people. It's just trying to placate everyone and just be everything to everyone, that it ends up being nothing to anyone. And that's the kind of like the feeling I've come away from it. Like shoot for something. If I go away and I hate this game, fine, it's not for me. But there'll be people that like it. I bet you there are. And if you make a bad game, then learn from it and come back and make a better one. But this one just nothing. Like nothing. It's inoffensive. Like I don't hate it. I just don't like it either. Yeah. It's just so forgettable, unfortunately, because
really, it was the PlayStation exclusive for a lot of last year in terms of like, here's what the PS5 can do, here's what the SSD is going to allow us to do in games, and I don't think it even hit that mark, but it certainly didn't build around that to make an engaging product out with the impressive technical achievements.
One thing I've been wanting to ask you, and I thought I better save this for the podcast, and I'm just going to jam it in now so I don't forget it. I don't know if you were you disappointed that Ratchet and Rivet were just the same character? Like they didn't play any differently from each other whatsoever. They were just exactly the same thing.
And they really kind of like swept that under the rug, where the woman, Miss Zircon or whatever it is, the merchant was just like, oh, you're part of the resistance too. Well, I've decided to pull your resources together so you can both just have everything.
Like I would have, again, like they were like alternate dimension versions of each other. Like you could just like even invert the weapons or make one more melee based and one more like. It was just like they were exactly the same, to the point that I was just like, again, like from a gameplay perspective, it's like, what's the point in changing these characters? Like they're exactly the same. Like even Mario and Luigi play differently, for goodness sakes.
That's a hell of a point. Especially when stuff was like Ratchet gets the hover boots, so then Rivet's got them. How? How?
It really irritated me, and I get it. Like it's a game, so like the fact that stuff was carrying over wasn't bugging me, but it was just they made no effort to sort of differentiate the characters at all. And it was just like,
so right. I didn't even really think about that at the time, because I would make the armor look different, and then the armor's another thing in terms of like you unlock armor bonuses and you just get them. There's no strategy that you need to put into putting your armor on for a certain situation, because you've got all the benefits of the armor whether you wear it or not, which is another testament to how easy and for children this game is. But I never really clicked the fact that I was basically just playing reskinned Ratchet and reskinned Clank, and they play exactly the same, because she gets all the same moves and all the same guns, and you're even sharing ammo and credits and everything.
Like it's not even like you would have to particularly design a level difficultly in a difficult manner, because at no point are you ever really the same character in the same level. So you could just create a level that
and
fits
why not as well, by the way,
that plays differently, to create some bloody something that just plays differently. Like,
yeah, why did they never really? I mean, they only really interact, and barely, in the final boss.
Yeah,
why was there never any like, oh, Rivet's got to do this on this part of the dimension so that Ratchet can get over here on the other side? Why did they never do any of that? It's just, you'd get in the thing and pick which planet you go to, and it's, oh, this is a Rivet one, so Ratchet will go, I wonder what Rivet's up to, and then Rivet plays for half an hour. Like, why was there never any mechanic that those two would use to help each other? I mean, they're sharing wallet. They have the same coins and stuff. Like, somehow they're transferring from each other's pockets. Or whatever.
If I was, and again, like, I know video game development is hard, but if I was making this game, I would have made them the inverted of each other, both in gameplay and narrative. So like, as sycophantively like sweet and nice as Ratchet, I would have made Rivet an asshole, and then I would have like, so like if
she's in a downtrodden like sort of dictatorship where the Emperor has downtrodden every single member of society and rules the entire galaxy. She should be grizzled and pissed off, and it should be hard.
Yeah.
And like the levels should be manky and horrible, and Ratchet's should be different to that because he's the hero.
Yep. And then, like,
but it's not like that.
Like, from a gameplay perspective, it opens you up to so much more weapon variation. If you're like, right, let's create a weapon set for Rivet that is melee based, and let's create a weapon set for Ratchet that is gun based, and then they're different. And then it's like, to my knowledge, the Ratchet series has never really dug into the melee side of weaponry. So like, you've got a
just
lot
for breaking blocks, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got a lot of things you could do there. There's like so many things you could do. So like,
how far did you get into the game before you realized you could throw your wrench? Was it the first time the game told you to do it?
So when I
right near the end,
when I completed the game, it was 98% complete, and I never realized that. So, oh no, because there's one bit where you've got to throw your wrench.
Yeah. Right in the last section.
That was the moment, and then I instantly forgot because you cannot level up the wrench, so I avoided using it if at all possible.
Yeah, very, very strange. But yeah, it's a callback to the beginning of the podcast, but Donkey Kong 64 made the characters all different.
Yep.
And you'd have to use them to get through a level. Like, bits would be
even the
inaccessible because of you need to be taller or be able to fly.
What is it? Donkey Kong Country 2 has got different playing characters. Like
Mario 2 I just think fucking NES.
I get it. Video game development's hard, and you're coming in hot on a new console. But I just think, like, if I was designing that game, I would have tried to make the characters different in some way, and I like just in a game that is already, in my opinion, quite bland. They just blanded it up in the maximum way possible by making, like, even when you change characters, absolutely no different.
Absolutely no different to the 15 previous Ratchet games as well, right? Yeah. Pretty much, other than the tower defense wank and the stealth one. But at least the core Ratchet games, I imagine they all play the same. We've played number 2, and we've played the more recent ones, and they're all the same. So I imagine in the middle, they're going to be all the same.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if am I jumping.
Where's the evolution of this series? You've evolved the hardware and you've added some sparkly stuff. Where's the evolution of how this game's going to actually play? Because that's the kind of thing that gets me lethargic about the current consoles. Because, like, what are you doing that's making me experience games differently? I don't want to fucking Wii again, but I certainly want
this is
more
what I was
than that.
alluding to earlier. Like, what are you doing for me in this game? You're making it shinier, which is, I mean, like, great. I'd rather, if you can make it shinier, I'll always take shinier. But that in itself, to me, is not a compelling reason to continue to play a game. Like, I want you to be giving me something different. I want you to be showing me things. I want you to be showing me why I have a PS5 and not a PS4. And to be honest, I don't know yet. If I'm completely honest, why I've got that. But
because you're compelled to, because of.
Well, yeah, because I'm a massive nerd and I love the video game industry. But
you're gonna want it no matter what. But
yeah, if I'm Joe Schmo in the street, like in terms of like return on investment, what have I got from this game that thinks, right, I'm glad I've got this game, and I'm glad I've got it on my PS5. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm really not sure.
Yeah,
I did notice an amazing link. And I failed to capture it and jump on. But I thought, like if we're talking about how this game differentiates itself, it does try and do that at some point, doesn't it? With the virus and the Clank sections where he's sort of meditating on himself, where he's trying to figure out
he's in an anomaly. So I'm assuming he's in some world between worlds. He's between the two dimensions or the two rifts, where he has to fix these anomalies to then make things rearrange themselves again. That ended up playing kind of like a platform game version of Lemmings.
Yeah, it did.
Where you have to guide little ghost Clanks to an exit through using different types of spheres that would make them go faster or be heavier or jump or go through an electric current.
Trying to start...
It did get quite tough by the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to try and start positive. It's certainly a change of pace to what the rest of the game is. So I guess it's it switches things up in a way. And you're right, like, it wasn't just straightforward, like, because it did start off really straightforward, grab a ball, stick a ball in the hole, but towards the end you did have to think about things in a way. Yeah, it's not like going to be like mind busting.
Yeah,
sort
but
of
I
Wordle
always
level complexity to date ourselves.
But I'd always enjoy some puzzle element to a game that seems to fit within the mechanics of the game, so it doesn't completely take itself away from it. Like, I think I've said this before, and I'll say it again until I play it and double check. But Dino Crisis felt like a lot of the puzzles in that were nothing like they were in Resident Evil, and they were just like hard math problems, which was really weird. It was like my friend Chris, who's played all the Resi games, knows them at the back of his hand, just couldn't do any of the puzzles because they were just like, how intelligent are you? There's nothing to do with the game's mechanics at that point. So I like how they sort of kept this within, how you would play the game. Anyway, there's still some jumping and platforming and whatever, but there's a different sort of style of play for a little bit that doesn't involve shooting anything, unlike the virus sections, which were dreadful.
Yeah. So just to sort of round that off, I totally agree with everything you've said. I guess like because of the mood I was in when I was playing this game with the Clank sections, they felt a little bit slow to me in a way that I wanted them to be over. But I think that was because I was wanting the game to be over more than perhaps I've got an issue with the actual Clank sections themselves. But yeah,
you're right though. It's the first time the game sort of slows itself to a crawl, because you're not just running through enemies and decimating them with all these crazy weapons and just moving forward. You're actually having to stop and think about stuff and move around a very small area over and over again until you've figured it out. So yeah, I can understand how you found that slow. And at first I wasn't really into them either. And then when they started to get more challenging, I appreciated them as, well, this is a challenge at last.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to actually be stuck on this game for a little bit. Because I said to you, didn't I? Maybe I should have played this on a harder difficulty because it's so easy, but that might mean it takes longer to finish, which, like you, I was just kind of...
dichotomy, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't hate the game. I was just ready to just stop playing the game. I'm ready
because it did nothing to switch yourself up, and it was just bland from start to finish. Unfortunately, like
it did nothing to help drive me through it, other than just the prospect of I might get another gun. And then when the guns carry on being another version of a gun you've already got, then that motivation's gone, and what motivation is left? The platforming wasn't exactly spectacular or difficult. It's not like a Mario game. It was very basic most of the time. And again, the penalty for dying was you basically came back where you were standing before you fell off.
Yeah.
So
I did find myself like in a game that they were absolutely trying to sell the speed of the fantastic SSD that they've got inside the system. The loading times were slightly longer than I would have hoped they were.
There were loading times for a start.
Is that just me being over the top? Overly critical? Because if they can smash me into another dimension instantly, sure, you can load me up again instantly. Just get on with it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But the worst part of the game is definitely the virus sections. They were so...
With the worst character in the game as well.
Oh my
really
God, they
annoying.
were so awful. It was so bad.
Just whinging and moaning the whole way through in a really high-pitched voice about how upset she is about viruses. And
I don't even, do you know, like, maybe you can explain this to me. So when you do the final virus section, so and part of the reason I did it, because you warned me and said this is avoidable, but I still went in and did it.
I know, I don't know why you did that.
Well, this is why. Because in the last virus section, before the last, so the penultimate, that's the right word.
Yep.
She meets the, like, she doesn't meet the virus, but there's, the sort of virus voice that's always going on. She's like, I've not shown myself till now, but I will next time. And I'm like, well,
that's right.
I need to find out. But then, like, I don't get what that's... So when you go into the last virus section, you do fight a final boss, but I don't understand the story arc with that. It's just there's a virus and she kills it over and over again, and then she kills it properly.
There was some element of her blaming the little glitch robot for the virus spreading, but I didn't really understand.
Yeah, I didn't understand what it was getting at with that. It just sort of wanted me to
You've allowed us to
given.
thrive. How? Actively exterminated you at every given moment.
Yeah, if I stand on an ant, I'm not actively helping the ant colony.
Exactly. You stupid Metroid rip-off mother brain bullshit. Go away.
So you never
understood
that
was really nothing,
either.
Wasn't it? And that was the bits that I died on the most was those parts as well, because you'd get swarmed by those stupid little things before I realised there was a button you could press that would send out like an EMP pulse and kill them all. And I would just get lost upside down all the time.
It's maybe embarrassing that the bit I died the most was just like walking off the side of the map from periodically when I was in the main game.
Yeah, but at least this felt like one of the only times it would make you sort of start somewhere further back than if you were actually Ratchet or Clank. Ratchet or Rivet. But it's just really bad.
I just wish that little virus thing moved quicker.
Yeah, yeah. Can I have a sprint button, please? Because everybody else has got one. Why don't you? I kept actively pressing it and being like, is she moving quicker? Am I sprinting now? Because I really want to be sprinting, because this is taking ages and I'm lost. Because some of the walls can't be climbed upon and some of the ceilings can't, but you have to go upside down all the time to make progress. Oh, God, it was awful.
There was no change to that. No real... that I'm aware of.
There's more of it every time. Yeah. There's more of the stupid.
You never leveled up, really, did you? As long as I'm aware,
there's
it was just the same thing over and over again. It just got increasingly long, and it was the worst part of the game, so it wasn't a selling point, really, for me.
And all she did was, screech. Oh God, the virus is everywhere! And just horrible, really, really horrible. Ugh, what a shame. And then the only other thing that I had written down was the arena, but we've kind of talked about that. But that was fun.
So the arena was the best thing that this game did, in my opinion. Like it forced you to, it gave you at times a challenging level of enemies, a varied level of enemies, and it also forced you to use the weapon types in different ways. So there was that one where it just gave you random weapons was phenomenal. I
really enjoyed that.
Really, really liked that. Because you never knew what you were going to get, and there was one, and I don't know whether this is the thing I like is where you think you've maybe got something over the game, where maybe you have, maybe you haven't. There was one in that mode where I got the Hand of Doom, and I was like, right, if this is the random weapon I've got, I'm just going to smash it, and I was just sprouting out as many people as I could, to the point that then when it changed weapon, I had so many people running about the map that they just helped me complete the level, and I'm like, yes, that's what I want. I want to feel like whether I have or not is irrelevant. I want to feel like I've got one over the game, and the arenas were great.
I actually felt like that bit was where the game got one over on me.
Oh, really?
Because when I had the little things, the little guys running about, they were killing the next wave of enemies, so I wasn't using the gun. And it was like you had to get kills with the gun, but they were taking the kills off of me.
Oh, is that how it worked? So
did you not find that? I mean, you were obviously just smashing them up anyway, but I definitely was looking at the kill count. They were killing them. I was running out of enemies, and it wasn't going up because I wasn't getting the chance to finish them off.
Perhaps
kill stealing little fuckers.
Perhaps I never clicked on that, but no, I just used them as an easy way. So yeah. I don't know, like it's one of these things, like when I was trying to figure out the level and how it leveled up, like with the ice gun, for example, I would just use it and then just switch to another weapon, because you could use the same enemy and almost get double the XP on the enemy.
Yeah.
So
I think I must have had that with the sprinkler and everything as well.
Yeah. So I was finding that, like, even though these little boys were, if I was getting involved in the fight, I was still getting the XP and the kills, but then maybe I just wasn't following it. Maybe you just followed it better than me. Because I was just thought I had figured this game out and I had it beat.
I think as we were probably rounding this out now, I mean, I would say that,
I didn't hate this game. I did as
bland as it is.
Yeah, as much as
I feel like every combat sequence, like the gunplay was excellent. Mm-hmm. Like the movement was excellent. Mm-hmm. All the guns were satisfying to use if not spectacular or groundbreaking this far into the series. Mm-hmm. But I never at one point thought, man, the shooting in this is bad, because it wasn't. It was really, really good. You had so much choice, so much variety and they've just honed it now. Everything just felt good. The controller was used really well. From that sort of fundamental element of the gameplay, there was nothing to complain about. It's just that it was the meat inside such an old moldy sandwich that had no flavor to it that I didn't really want to eat the sandwich.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on.
I mean, it does gunplay better than it has any right to for a children's platform game. where it should actively be a shooter rather than anything else. But
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is that the gameplay itself is fun, and that's what I want from a game. Like, as much as I've said, like, yes, give me the technical stuff, but give me a reason for liking the technical stuff. Don't make me have to dig as to why I like the technical stuff. But like, the game was fun. It was fun, and I did enjoy it. I just
haloed ourselves again, haven't we?
I
felt
just think
very similar to that.
It could have been so much more than what it was, and it's like you can shoot for the moon. They didn't. Like if you've got like I'm trying to think of a better analogy, but I'm not. Like to me, like if you're making a product, you shoot for the moon every time. To me, they didn't. They just played it safe, and they played it as safe and the most bland. But then like we spoke about, since this game released a movie, or since this franchise released a movie, it has become the most bland thing, which I think is an insult to children and young people, because you don't have to be bland and be nothing to be good. Disney and Pixar have shown that for years, decades.
Yeah, they're very Nintendo in that sense, where they like you think about the Zelda series and how much that reinvents itself, and Mario too. Like how much those games, they take so long to come out because they're so different every time. If you compare a game like Mario Galaxy to Mario Odyssey to Mario 3D World to Mario 64 to Sunshine, they're all so different. And but this franchise feels like it's never been different. Yeah, of course.
Some of them miss, but that's what makes
that's the risk you run when you reinvent the wheel every time.
Yep.
Some people aren't going to like the new wheel; they want the old wheel. Whereas this one is the old wheel from 2003 and has never been a different wheel.
I also think that, as much as we would love them to reinvent the wheel, like if they had just made a Ratchet game with an interesting story and a varied weapon rate, I'd have been fine with that. That would have been all I wanted from this game. That's all I look for from a Ratchet game. But the story was so dull, so vanilla, and the weapons, in my opinion, just lacked variation entirely. Seems like
it seems to have been sold on, the ability to manipulate the hardware to do new and exciting things that I didn't find new and exciting at all. And without that pushing me through, then it just felt like a same old Ratchet game.
Yep, like spot on.
You almost 100%. Forget it was there half the time. Like, this is supposed to be like a technical showcase for the console. And yeah, it looks nice, but
if you were going,
I'm not feeling anything tangibly that you've improved through this new console for me. I'm just playing the same game again with a little bit of a grappling hook, as you said to me.
Yeah,
it's effectively just a grappling hook.
If you were giving it the winner's you rating out of 10, what would you give it?
6.
6. I think I'd go. I was thinking like I'd maybe
don't fall into the trap of a 7, because 7's supposed to mean good.
Yeah, it's not. It's nearly good for me. I think it's a 6.5. I think I'm hover. I think I would agree with a 6. That's fine. A 6 with you.
6.5's not too bad. I wouldn't kick it out of bed.
Yeah. But yeah, it's this to me is different from Alien in that, like, I just hated Alien. Like, I'm annoyed at this game because I don't hate it. Does that make sense? Like, I just think it could have been. I think it could have been so much more than it was, and they just shot for the absolute down the middle. It's the Halo 4 of the Halo franchise. It's just another bland Halo game.
Yeah,
which is disappointing to me.
I guess there's a difference between enjoyable and fun, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
It's enjoyable is what? A nice quiet bath, an early night, a Sunday sitting in the house. That's enjoyable, right? Fun is paintballing or go-karting.
So wait a second, I can tell you
the dad. Pissed up and going bowling.
Tell you the dad now. You're like, oh, what do I want to do? Sleep, sit in the house, do nothing.
Lock myself in a bathroom and submerge myself in water, and maybe I won't come back up again. Yeah,
you're going to become that guy that goes for 3-hour jobbies just so you can sit and look at your phone and quiet for a while.
I don't know what you mean by become, mate. That's already my reputation. I guarantee you, listeners, every piece of art, every thumbnail you've ever seen for this podcast will have been done on the toilet by me on my MacBook. Guarantee you that.
That's a fantastic peek behind
during work hours, probably.
I used to enjoy doing that. I used to always try and save jobbies for work hours because you're like, I'm getting paid to poo. This is.
When I was still going in the office, there'd be like 3:00 would be my time. Like, right, I'm going to escape for half an hour now. I've done some work for a bit. I'll come back and do some work afterwards. But for now, I'm going to watch something on YouTube for half an hour and take a shit. Probably might not even do that. I'll just go sit in there for half an hour. No one will know where I am, and I'll walk back in and just be like, all right. Just been fixing something downstairs.
I used to try and sneak off with my headphones so that I could put my podcast on for a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why the hell are we talking about that? Well, that's what Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is. It's a 30-minute shit in the afternoon during a working day. It's just there. Yeah. It's a way to kill some time and not do anything else meaningful.
It is. But I guess so. Let's just close this out. I take it that brings us to the end of the show. And
it brings us to the announcement for what we're playing next, right? Which I don't even know if we've decided.
What are we playing next?
Take it away, bud.
So next up, we are going to be playing a nice old game, and it's something unlike anything we've ever played before, I guess. Well, it's something we've played before, but it's unlike anything we've covered for this podcast. We're going to be playing some Firewatch, Alex. That's correct.
It is. Yes, it is. Nearly 6 years old. Came out on the 9th of February 2016. So
this is one I'm interested in because, like, narratively, as we were saying, it does interesting things and covers topic matters that are not necessarily comfortable. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. It's a short game, 4 to 5 hours. So you can expect a podcast fairly soon about this one. It won't be tomorrow, but it will be. Yeah, it will be soon. Let's say let's not commit to anything.
Yeah, and the listeners can get excited about how we're going to tackle what's in the game. Imagine the two of us idiots trying to piece together this narrative.
Exactly.
Alex, in a mature way.
It's time for you, because you've got far more going on than I do. Time for you to give us some housekeeping, what you've been up to, what you've been covering, what you got going on, what you're writing.
The last thing I wrote for Sega Mania magazine was a review of Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which was very repetitive. It's like a top-down shooter, kind of like the old game Gauntlet. If you ever played that, like on the Amiga.
I think a game came out on Xbox with a similar name. That is,
I think they may have re-released it. Yes, alongside the sequel called Ghoul Patrol. I think they re-released it. That was a very average game. I've also been playing Batman Returns on the Mega CD, which is shit and really difficult.
I played Batman. I think I played a Batman. I used to have a Batman game on my Sega Master System that I'm now absolutely blanking what that was.
I had a game on the Game Gear, and I think it's probably
I found that so hard.
Yeah, these games are really difficult.
That and the Indiana Jones game on the Master System kicked my ass.
Yeah. There's something. Yeah, I don't understand why they're so hard.
It's because well, you do though. It's because they're sort of invented during the sort of fallout of the arcade, and so they're sort of they're just sort of regurgitating arcade gameplay style when it's like people had to put money in, so it was in their interest to make these games hard, isn't it? So,
or to stop you from being able to complete it when you've rented it from Blockbuster for a weekend.
What year
you have to buy it?
I am slowly. So I've got an absolute ton of magazines, and I've been trying to catch up on magazines, so I've been absolutely smashing through them, and I started reading the most recent episode release of Sega Mania magazine. I was smashing through it. I was like, no. This one says, if you buy a magazine, if you buy a subscription, like a 3-issue subscription, that's like a 6-month subscription. I was like, I don't need to bust my ass to read this. I can actually sit back and enjoy it and just absorb it. Month. So I sort of put it down because I subscribed to White Dwarf Warhammer magazine, and then I didn't read 8 of them. So I've got this pile of it, and I was like, right, I need to do this because I've paid for them. So I've just been trying to smash through them, and then that Edge magazine got caught up in it, and then Sega Mania got caught up in it, and I had to just give myself a slap. I was like, no, you actually want to read Sega Mania, and you're going to read this cover to cover, put it down, do your smashing, and then we'll come back to it. So I've read a few pages of it yet. Where I was going with that, my question is, when do fighting games, what year are we looking that they'll start making an appearance?
So I mean, to give you
Because you and I have spoken about an interest in sort of poking at fighting games from afar.
Yes, we have, yeah. I think you can probably, the viewers can see, like, right here is my fight stick I got for Christmas.
I do see it. I do see it. I've got my eye in underneath your PlayStation 5 headset.
It's actually stuck to that N64 book because it's got like rubber feet on it, suction cups, and I tried to take it off there the other day, and it's like stuck to a book. So yeah, I mean, people can. It's not a spoiler. I know Tim is very. He likes to keep his cards close to his chest of what we're going to cover in the magazine. Mm-hmm. But obviously, it's a historical magazine focusing on a specific year of games, so you can just look that up and you'll find it out. So this year is they're going to have Street Fighter 2 in there. There's also going to be Mortal Kombat. I think they're going to do like a, which is better sort of thing. They're going to do a piece on
the street because, like in my mind, and because I was a kid, I associate Street Fighter 2 with the SNES.
Well, that's apparently meant to be the better version, the more arcade perfect version.
Which I feel like is unusual because
I would quite like him to have figured
latterly. Fighting games, were they not better on Sega? Like Mortal Kombat was definitely better on Sega.
And that's through censorship though, rather than performance. And then, I mean, yeah, Nintendo kind of just gave up on fighting games through N64 era.
They went full family.
They had nothing going on in the N64 in terms of a fighting game, like Rakuga Kids and Fighters Destiny and shit like that. Whereas, yeah, Saturn and PlayStation were getting all the Tekkens and Virtua Fighters that you could shake a stick at. So yeah, that's going to be in there. He's going to do like a thing about the whole controversy because Night Trap came out that year as well. So that's all those court cases are being covered. I don't think there's any more beat 'em ups. I am now, for some reason, I've decided to offer my services to do NHL 94 and Madden 94.
I mean, NHL 94 is maybe one of the best sports games ever made. So good effort.
Madden 94 is slow.
Is it?
It's a slow game.
Well, you give her one hand, you take with the other.
I said to them, like, I'm going to do half a page each. I don't think I can fit a whole page of talking about Madden without really exposing myself to not know enough about American football, despite having watched it for about 10 years. I still don't know what a 3-4 is or a nickel formation. I don't know any of that shit means. I just click it and go zone coverage or blitz. I don't know any more than that. Yeah, so that's coming up. We just recently did a podcast for Sega Mania magazine. So if you fancy listening to that, if you have decided to read the magazine based off of the chats we have at the end of these, that is called Sega Mania Podcast. It's on every podcast platform going, same as us. There's an advert for us in it as well. So you'll have a lovely little reminder of where you came from, where the real action is.
Power grab.
I'll try and get you as a guest on there one day, I think. Sneak you in. But that's what I've been doing. What have you done? Anything else? Because you had loads of plans we discussed last night. Have any of these?
Yeah, we had a bit of a meeting last night. I'm not ready to talk about any of that yet. That is part of plans this weekend. But one thing we do have is if you head over to Instagram, winner is new pod. We now have an Instagram page, so give us a follow on there.
You've unveiled that to me as of this moment, as I did not know it was there.
And I guess apart from that, I continue to do this podcast. You can head over to, let me have a quick look up here, a Winners U podcast over on YouTube to see the video version of this. And also, if you're watching the video version of this, you can subscribe to this on any podcast platform you like. If you want to send us an email, I'm about to tell you the correct email probably for the first time ever in the 32 episodes that we've done of this show. You can send us an email at awinnerisyoupod@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at David Smiley, SMILLIE1. You can follow Alex, Super Thrillix with 2 L's. And of course, you can follow the podcast itself, which is at awinnerisyoupod. And I think that's it. That brings us to the end of episode 32 of the Winners U podcast. My name is David. His name is Alex. We are Winners U, and I am out.
Keep gaming.
That's right.